Imagine waking up tomorrow and checking your paycheck. No deductions, no income tax. Every dollar you earn is yours. Sounds like paradise, right? But here's the real question. Would a world without taxes actually work? Or would it fall apart immediately? Because here's the thing, everyone hates taxes. We complain about them nonstop. They're on our pay stubs, our grocery receipts, our annual headaches every April, and yet every society on Earth has them. In fact, taxes are so old that archaeologists have found 4,000-year-old clay tablets recording tax payments, which raises a bigger question. Who invented taxes? Why do we still pay them? And will they ever actually disappear? The birth of taxes. Taxes didn't start with accountants or spreadsheets. They started the moment humans stopped living alone. As soon as people formed organized societies, someone had to protect the city, build roads and walls, pay soldiers, and that required resources. The earliest known taxes appeared over 4,500 years ago in ancient Mesopotamia. In cities like Uruk, people didn't pay in money. They paid in grain, livestock, and labor. Temple scribes literally carved tax records, not because they loved paperwork, but because the state needed to function. Taxes weren't invented by one evil person. They were invented by every ruler who needed to keep a society running. Ancient tax creativity. Early governments got creative. In ancient Egypt, taxes were tied to the Nile River. If the Nile flooded high, crops would be plentiful, and so taxes went up. If the flood was low, taxes were reduced. Even pharaohs understood a basic rule. You can't tax people into starvation, at least not for long.
Okay.
And here's the funny part. Resentment started immediately. Some of those same clay tablets record tax evasion cases. 4,000 years ago, someone was already trying to dodge taxes. So from day one, taxes were necessary. That tension never went away. If you're finding this deep dive into history interesting, hit that like button and subscribe. It's the best way to help us keep uncovering stories like these. Part 3, Taxes as a Trigger for Revolt. As societies grew, so did tax anger. Taxes didn't just fund governments, they toppled them. Heavy taxation played a role in the decline of empires like Rome and Egypt, and history is packed with tax revolts. Which brings us to one of the most famous slogans ever shouted, "No taxation without representation." America is literally built on tax rage. In colonial America, British taxes hit everything: paper, stamps, tea. The problem wasn't just the money, it was the lack of a voice. Colonists had no say in Parliament, yet were expected to pay up. The breaking point came in 1773. Men disguised themselves, boarded ships, and dumped tea into Boston Harbor rather than pay. That wasn't about tea. It was about power. Taxes helped spark the American Revolution, which makes what happens next ironic. A nation that hated taxes still needed them. After independence, Americans were terrified of recreating tyranny, so the early United States had no federal income tax. The government ran on tariffs and small excise taxes instead. But then reality hit. In 1861, the Civil War exploded, and war is expensive. So Abraham Lincoln introduced the first federal income tax as an emergency measure. Congress even created the Bureau of Internal Revenue, the ancestor of the IRS. People hated it. After the war, it was repealed.
Nice.
Celebrations followed, but the need for stable revenue never disappeared. The Constitutional Showdown. By the late 1800s, inequality was rising. Many believed the wealthy should contribute more. Congress tried reintroducing an income tax in 1894. The Supreme Court struck it down. So the government did something drastic. In 1913, the Constitution was amended. The 16th Amendment permanently allowed federal income tax. From that moment on, taxes could be taken directly from paychecks. Avoidance became harder. The modern tax system was born.
No! God, please, no!
The first Form 1040 was filed in 1914. Yes, the same form people still complain about today. Could taxes ever disappear? Some politicians have promised it. In recent years, even a US president floated the idea of eliminating income tax entirely, replacing it with tariffs. On paper, it sounds amazing. More money in your pocket, economic freedom, but then reality shows up. The math that kills the dream. In 2024, federal income taxes brought in about $2.4 trillion. Tariffs brought in about $167 billion. That's not even close. You could triple tariffs and still not replace income taxes. Economists across the spectrum agreed. Eliminating taxes without replacement is mathematically impossible, and when governments try anyway, things break. What a tax-free world really looks like. Some places do have no income tax. Oil-rich countries like Qatar or the UAE fund governments through energy revenue. Small places like Monaco rely on tourism and fees. But there's a darker example. Places with no effective taxation and no replacement revenue tend to look like failed states. No roads, no healthcare, no emergency services, no rule of law. Taxes don't disappear unless another tax replaces them or the government collapses. There is no third option. Taxes change but never die. That doesn't mean taxes stay the same. They evolve. China abolished a 2,600-year-old agricultural tax in 2006. Governments cut, raise, and restructure taxes constantly. But the concept never disappears because roads still need paving, hospitals still need funding, countries still need defense. The final perspective. There's a famous quote often attributed to Benjamin Franklin: "Nothing is certain except death and taxes." But another quote might explain taxes even better. Taxes are what we pay for civilized society, and that's the uncomfortable truth. We hate them, we resent them, we complain nonstop, but without them, civilization doesn't work. A world without taxes might sound like heaven, but history suggests it would probably feel a lot more like hell.